It took me 2 years to go full-time in my business, and since then, I have made $100,000 in revenue every single year since. And this channel will pretty shortly break 300,000 subscribers. And I did all of that by posting exclusively on one platform for 5 years straight. Just one. And here's what I have learned from my own experience, from every creator friend that I have, and the hundreds of creatives that I have coached. Half-assing your business gets you half-assed results. But when you pick one thing, when you commit all of your effort to it, when you have such radical self-belief that failure isn't even an option, it becomes unreasonable for you to not succeed. And let me tell you a story about this. So a few nights ago, I was at this party for New Year's, and my partner introduced me to this guy who's pursuing a degree in computer science and game dev. He's a college student about to graduate. And it became extremely clear to me after just a couple minutes of talking to this guy that he had basically given up on his dream of becoming a full-time creative. That he was like 2 weeks away from quitting school and joining an AI lab to just accelerate the demise of the human race. And I told this guy, like literally straight up, like, hey man, like this isn't impossible. I personally know several solo developers making good money from their projects. Like making 7 figures or high 6 figures from a game is not impossible. It's been done before. And he was shocked. I could tell he was shocked that I said this. He later told me that I was the first person to literally ever tell him that I thought he could do this, that I thought he could have what it takes. And then he says, okay, maybe I'll create half a dozen demos and see what happens. I'll run a bunch of Kickstarters, and if something goes viral, I'll go for it. And one thing to know about me is that I am a very direct person. So when he said this, I literally replied, man, it feels like you have resigned yourself to already losing. Like you are so committed to this belief that you don't have what it takes to succeed here, that it's not possible for you, that you aren't willing to even really seriously try, because hedging your bets is to acknowledge failure. And when I say that you need a certain amount of psychological commitment to your business to succeed, this is what I mean. This guy had the skills. He had the desire. But the moment he started to allow himself to believe that he could make it work, he hedged. Everyone had beaten this dream out of him so much to the point where even when he saw the possibility, even when he started to believe more, he couldn't commit. And to be honest with you, I have literally never seen hedging work. I have never seen someone succeed if they half-ass it. I think it is always better to do one thing and to commit to doing it really well. To build a product that you believe in, to share it for months on end, to give it your all. And I never personally experienced much success in my own business until I stopped hedging my bets. Or rather, until the universe stopped allowing me to hedge my bets. So in 2021, my partner and I moved to New York City kind of right out of college. He was able to get a really great job in finance. He's a brilliant mathematician, like truly like the smartest guy that I know. It's crazy. He's so amazing. And I was still searching for work. And then 3 months into our little NYC adventure, the elevators in our building broke. And we were living in FIDE at the time, the financial district, and our apartment was on the 52nd floor of our building. Leaving the apartment meant going down 52 flights of stairs. Going back meant going up 52 flights of stairs. Ambitiously 30 minutes each way. I kid you not, this was real, it happened. The New York Times wrote an article about my building calling it high-rise hell. I was almost interviewed for this article, but I didn't want to dox myself at the time. And the government got involved. Like it was a huge issue. It took months and months and months for them to fix it. And in that time, he was going up and down the stairs like an absolute madman. But we kind of both agreed that YouTube had thus far shown the most promise, so why not focus on it? Why not use that opportunity? So I did, and in November of 2021, I started out with about 10,000 subscribers, and May of 2022, I was over 50,000 subscribers, had gone full-time, and in September of that year, when we had moved to California, left the apartment, thank God, I had my plaque. I had reached 100K. I had literally 10x'd my business in not even a year because I allowed myself to focus. Because my entire world narrowed to just me, just my camera, just that apartment. I literally did not leave. Was it the most healthy thing literally ever? No. But it worked. It was great. Genuinely, I think looking back, that elevator breaking was like in the top 5 best things that have ever happened to me. It was type 2 fun to the extreme. I think my business would not be where it is today if I hadn't had that period of intense focus. And this is the pattern that I keep seeing. All of my creator friends, all of my clients, even my own journey, the most intense periods of growth always come out of the most intense periods of focus, of thinking about just one thing and giving that your all and putting in so much effort that it becomes unreasonable to not succeed. And by the way, if you want to know what giving it your all should look like in your own business, if you want to figure out what tasks will actually move the needle, I created a free worksheet to go along with this video. I will link it in the description. And whenever I tell this story, people almost always say, "Okay, Kelsey, that sounds great, but what if I pick the wrong thing? What if I go all in? What if I commit everything I have to this one project and it fails?" And that's a reasonable fear, but I kind of want to reframe your mindset around this a little bit because what I've noticed is that no matter what you pick, the effort that you put in, that level of commitment, that unreasonable amount of effort, that makes it the right choice. If you put in enough work, if you stay honest with yourself about what's working, if you learn enough skills, you can truly make just about anything the right choice. I know lots of people that are way smarter than me, way more talented than me, that if they wanted to, they could absolutely start and grow a 6 or even 7-figure business. It would be easy for them. They have what it takes. But the difference between them and me is that I have this almost unreasonable audacity, this self belief, this confidence, this willingness to make it work. And take Milo, for example, the guy that I met at that party. He had all the raw skill, he had all the raw talent. What he didn't have was the confidence, the belief, the willingness to even try to put in effort. Because when you hedge your bets like that, you kind of kill your dream before it's really ever had a chance to take its first breath. And the ironic thing is that hedging your bets is the point of failure. That is the thing that guarantees that you won't succeed. Because when you spread yourself across 5 different projects, 10 different platforms, a dozen different demos, you never get good enough at any one thing to actually break through. You are constantly starting over, constantly at the beginner stage, never building momentum. You never give the plan enough time to actually work. And that's why I keep coming back over and over to this idea of picking one thing, of putting in so much effort on one thing that it becomes unreasonable to not succeed. And I want to be really clear, by the way, about what I mean by this, because this is not just about working hard. I think this means looking at all of the reasons why you won't succeed, why you might fail, and fixing them. Like maybe your content won't be good enough, or maybe you don't understand what your audience wants, or maybe you don't have good enough product photos, what have you, right? And then you make a point of relentlessly addressing every single one of those weak points. You do it systematically. If there is a weak point, you fix it, you get good, you make that your life's mission. And if you do this, if you relentlessly attack your weak points like this, it will genuinely become unreasonable to fail. I have personally found that very few people are willing to do the work of analysis and reflection to look at their business and see these weak points, to be honest with themselves about what's working and what's not and how they need to get better. But like anything else, I think this is a skill. I think you can get better at this. And making a point to be honest with yourself about your improvement, about what you need to do to get better, will dramatically improve your odds of success. So let's figure out what full assing your business actually looks like. Because if we don't want to half ass your business, we have to figure out what the opposite is, right? And I personally think that you need to pick one thing, not a dozen game demos, not 5 different business ideas, not, half a dozen platforms, one thing that gets your full attention and your full effort. Because running 2 businesses is twice as hard as running one. You don't even know how to run one business that turns a profit yet. Why do you think that you can do 2 without going insane? Why do you think that you can post on 2 platforms and find success when you don't even know what works on one? Why do you think that you can post on 6 platforms and find success when, again, you don't even know what works on one? You don't even know how to build an audience on one platform. This is crazy. So, the first thing that you absolutely need to do to grow your business is to focus. And then I want you to put in so much effort that it becomes unreasonable for you to not succeed. Think about all of the reasons why you might fail that are under your control, right? Your content sucks, you don't have a certain skill, you don't have a support network, whatever, right? And then fill those gaps. Make it your life's mission to fill those gaps. Don't put your eggs in one basket to like test something. That's garbage. No, don't do that. Put everything in one basket and then make it work. And that's why the next component to actually growing your business is effort. And obviously, you can have a backup plan to all of this, right? I am not telling you to be financially irresponsible here, but what I don't want you to do is to allow yourself to think of the backup plan. Ideally, like, you should forget that it even exists. It should not cross your mind, because the moment that it does, the moment that you start seriously considering the backup plan, the moment that you start making moves in that direction, when you haven't given the plan enough time to work yet, you start half assing it. Because ideally, you don't even want failure to cross your mind as an option on the table. And that's why the final component to full assing your business, to actually growing, is commitment. Don't be like that guy that I met on New Year's Eve who abandoned his dream before he even had a chance to start working on it, who decided that it wasn't going to work for him and so never even tried. That was sad. I hope he's doing okay. I hope that I got through to him. I hope that I'll see him at a future party. But anyway, that's the end of this video. If you want to keep hanging out, watch this video somewhere on the screen and also grab that worksheet that I mentioned, that 10x task worksheet. It was designed to go along with this video. It's totally free in the description. Okay, I'll see you there. Bye.